Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar from Telerik India. If you have been a regular, you would know that we conduct these webinars pretty much every Thursday of every month, 3 to 4 p.m. India Standard Time. We try to bring you Telerik technologies as well as generic .NET technology related topics. In today's webinar, we're going to be looking at how to integrate photos and videos with ease in your ASP.NET AJAX application. A brief intro about myself. I'm Lohit GN. If you're a regular, you would have known about me. This is how I look. That's my picture. I'm a technical evangelist with Telerik in India. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in the area of ASP.NET and IAS. I'm also part of one of India's largest and biggest .NET user group known as Bangalore .NET user group. I am an author. I have written a book on Windows Phone applications using F#. If you're available on Twitter, you can tweet to me at @Kashyapa. That's my Twitter handle. This is my official email ID, lohit.nagaraj@telerik.com. Some of the links that you should be aware of: www.telerik.com. That's our global Telerik website, corporate website. TelerikHelper.net is a site where myself and my colleagues keep writing about Telerik related technologies, how-to articles, all those things. Kashyapas.com is my personal website where I write mostly on ASP.NET and things related to ASP.NET. If you want to know more about me, you can go to http://about.me/kashYapa. That's my personal website. As part of today's webinar, we're going to be looking at UI for ASP.NET AJAX first. I'm going to just introduce you to one of our suites. We call it as UI for ASP.NET AJAX. As part of the introduction, I want to let you know that the UI for ASP.NET AJAX is a control suite for ASP.NET AJAX technology. It's built with high quality in mind, and it's basically for professional line of business apps, or LOB as it is called. Our main goal as part of this suite is to maximize your productivity. Many of these controls are available in your toolbox. You can just drag and drop, use the smart tag, set up properties without writing code. You can just bring up the smart tag and then set up the properties for the control, and then control starts working on your page. So basically we are trying to cut down your time that otherwise would go into writing that piece of codes to set your controls work. Also, this UI for ASP.NET AJAX Control Suite helps you to build richer, slicker, and better performing apps. Basically richer because we give you close to 80 plus controls. Slicker because we make use of the latest and greatest technologies like HTML5 and cut down all the unwanted HTML that otherwise would be sent to the client side. Better performing apps because performance is one of our key goals when we manufacture these controls or when we develop these controls. So our team does do all the necessary performance related checks, performance related tests before we release it. So this is basically a quick intro as to what exactly is UI for ASP.NET AJAX. If somebody asks you, just tell them UI for ASP.NET AJAX is a control suite for AJAX technology. You can build web apps using ASP.NET AJAX and use our controls on those pages to give you a richer, slicker, and better performing apps. Next, we're going to take a look at the key features that are available as part of the UI for ASP.NET AJAX. As I already said, this is a complete set of features and controls. We bundle close to 80 plus ASP.NET AJAX controls for every need. Next up is mobile support and responsiveness. Today, pretty much any website that you build needs to be responsive, needs to be have the mobile support. So ASP.NET AJAX controls from Telerik are already, they give you the mobile support, and then also they're responsive. They will work equally well on desktop as well as mobile devices. We have 20 built-in professional grade skins or themes as we call it. You can theme your sites or apps by just changing a single property. Each control supports a property, and then you just change it, and then the control takes the new theme or the skin that you want to provide. So there are 20 built-in professional grade themes available. Exceptional performance and user experience. Of course, we are known for the UX that we provide as part of the controls. So plus we also give you the continuous performance optimization that we do for all the controls, so you can enjoy that. lately we have been HTML5 is the buzzword, so we have lately started putting HTML5 also as a feature as part of the the all the controls. We also have a developer-friendly toolset. You can leverage the rich design time wizards and the intuitive API that we have. As I mentioned earlier, you can just drag and drop from the toolbox, place it on your web page, open the smart tag. We will give you a pretty nice GUI where you can pretty much set all the properties without even writing any code. We also have seamless UX across devices and browsers. We support the seamless UX across devices and browsers. Your application will look and work flawlessly across all major browsers without any problem. We are also complying to all the standards, and then also the accessibility standards. We have built-in standards compliant and accessible. You can build standards compliant and accessible applications if you use our controls, because we already comply to all the standards and accessibility things. We also have you can also integrate with our controls into SharePoint. We have the SharePoint integration available, and also we have out of the box couple of web parts. Whereas if you want to build your own custom web part, you can always use the UI for ASP.NET AJAX controls, the 80 plus controls. They're all SharePoint ready. You just have to create a web part, input, use the controls, and then deploy your web parts onto SharePoint, and then start working. These are all being deployable. Next, let's try to take a look at the the extent of the controls that we have. As you can see on the screen, basically I have put up whatever I can showcase on this particular screen. We have 80 plus ASP.NET AJAX controls. On the left hand side, you see the most popular controls that we have: the grid, the editor, chart, menu, scheduler, upload, tree view, combo box. And also you can see a pattern here that our 80 plus controls are all divided into kind of segments, or we have segregated into different under different heads. For example, on data management side, we have data pager, filter, grid, list box, list view, OData, data source, pivot, tree list. Similarly, the scheduling, theming, layout, interactivity, media. Today we're going to be looking at media related stuff, that is the image gallery and the media player. So as you can see, all our controls are grouped under certain heads. Whatever is your requirement, you can pretty much take a look at these heads and say, okay, yeah, this is something that we are doing, and then there are controls available for that. In order to work with UI for ASP.NET AJAX, the first thing that you would need to do is to head over to www.telerik.com. Once you are in the site, just click on the products, and then you will see here in the web section UI for ASP.NET AJAX suite. Click on the UI for ASP.NET AJAX suite to get to the product overview page. In the product overview page, you will be having try now button. So if you want to follow along with this webinar, what you can do is you can just go ahead, download the trial. The trial is available for 30 days. You can just install it, and then you'll get the full-fledged control set. You can do whatever I'm doing in the webinar side by side if you want. So this is where you would go download and then start working with your Visual Studio. What this does is once you install, we put in certain we have an extension that goes and sits in the Visual Studio. This extension makes it possible for you to have a project template, item template, all those things. So now let me head over to Visual Studio and then show you how you can start working with Visual UI for ASP.NET AJAX based templates. For this webinar, I'm going to be using Visual Studio 2013. What you see here is my Visual Studio 2013 Ultimate Edition. So once you have gone ahead, downloaded the UI for ASP.NET AJAX Control Suite, installed on your system, as I said, we go ahead and then put the extension, we integrate with the Visual Studio. So when you do File, New Project, what you will see is you will get a template, Telerik templates in the installed folders. On the left hand side, what you see here, if you click on the web, you will see we have the C# version as well as the VB version, plus we have the website as well as the web application version of this. So what this does is I'll go ahead and then click on Telerik Web App 1. give it a name as Telerik Web App 1, to pick a location, select the Telerik C# web application, then click on OK. So what this is going to do is Visual Studio is going to go ahead and then create the project. Our project template will kick in, and then it's going to ask you a couple of things. First and foremost, it has detected that I have the UI for ASP.NET AJAX version 2014.1, and you will see, like, add the reference assemblies to a solution. I'm going to select all the themes, and then by default we would need the Telerik.web.ui. If you don't want to use our skins, you can uncheck it, but I'm going to use the skin for now. And the skin that I need is, I like the Metro theme, so I'm going to select the Metro. Click next. It's going to ask you what are the other things that you would need as part of this application. Do you need a compression module? Well, for this demo I don't need it. I'll keep the compression module because it's going to compress all the communication that happens with the client side with our Telerik controls. Upload module, I don't need any upload module because I'm not doing any file uploads. Script manager CDN, no, I'll use the scripts in the application itself. I don't need a RAD spell, I don't need a capture for now. Maybe it's a good thing to come back in a separate webinar and then talk about RAD spell and RAD capture. Click on next. It's going to ask you a couple of things. Should I use an Ajaxified template? Should I use a jQuery support? What's the maximum request length? And then the execution timeout in seconds. Just keep it default and then click on next. And we also have Telerik Data Access. It's pretty similar to what an entity framework is all about. So Telerik Data Access is a ORM tool which gives you L2 caching, all the other benefits. With one click, you can create a the web API or OData service or WCF service. You can do anything with a Telerik Data Access domain model. But for now, I'm going to skip creating a Telerik Data Access. Let's click on Finish button. Now what you're seeing is Visual Studio is going ahead and creating my project. And Visual Studio has finished creating my project, and we have a simple web application. So what you see here is by default the Telerik web application template has gone ahead and then reference the telerik.web.ui DLL, telerik.web.ui skins DLL, and also it has created a default.aspx just to get started. So if I double click on default.aspx, we will see that it has created a neatly, it has put everything in order. As you can see here, it has included our Telerik style sheet manager. It has included our Telerik RAD script manager with references to our core, jQuery, and then jQuery include. And also it has put our Ajax manager in place, and then all we need to do is start working with any of the Telerik UI for ASP.NET Ajax Controls. So this was a short introduction to you as to how to work with Telerik UI for ASP.NET Ajax. Go download. Once you install, the installer goes ahead and integrates with the Visual Studio. And as you saw, I used the project template that we give as part of the UI for ASP.NET Ajax. We also give you the ability to add different Telerik pages. For example, if you see here, we have a menu item. When you right click on the project and it says Telerik UI for ASP.NET Ajax, and then we give you a couple of options. One is to add a Telerik scenario. So what I can do is, let's assume that you want to create a new generic form, general Telerik web form. So you just have to click on general Telerik web form and then click on next. The wizard is going to next ask us a couple of default settings that we should be setting on the form. For example, what should be the web form name. For now, I'm going to keep it as Telerik web form. The language, of course, is the Visual C#. Skin, I've told use default skin. Script manager is default setting. Style sheet manager, use RAD AJAX. Use add jQuery registration, all those things. I can click on finish. When I do click on finish, you will see it automatically creates another web form with all the other things placed out. So there's a style manager, script manager, and then Ajax manager. All you need to do is just come in and then add your controls that you need. So this was a brief intro about how to use Telerik UI for ASP.NET Ajax. You download, and the installer integrates our components with the Visual Studio, and then you can start using the project templates, the item templates, all those things. One more thing I want to bring upon here is once you install our Telerik UI for ASP.NET AJAX, we integrate even with the toolbox. As you can see here, we have different things coming up as part of the Telerik UI for ASP.NET AJAX. There's a calendar and scheduler, there's upload, there's containers. The container is nothing but the RAD doc, page layout, RAD window, all those things. The data part of it, that is the RAD grid, all those things. Navigation, data editing, miscellaneous, visualization, date color picker, performance optimization. So basically we integrate with your Visual Studio, so you do not have to do anything other than just drag and drop. I showed you how to create a web form, Telerik web form, and only thing that you need to do is drag a new control and then place it on the web page. So next up, we're going to look at the two main controls that we're going to be talking about in this webinar. First, let's take a look at the RAD Image Gallery. One of the controls that we're going to be talking about today in this webinar is known as RAD Image Gallery. So it's basically how to, we'll look at how to add image gallery with ease to your ASP.NET web applications. So next up, we're going to look at a couple of key features of this particular control. One of the feature is to, this allows you to show the display the image in 6 different ways. The image gallery itself supports 6 different ways of showcasing your images. Also, as part of the image gallery itself, there are a variety of graceful animations that you can bring in when a user is moving from one image to next image. You can actually play an animation. Also, we provide you 2 types of animation. One is when a user goes from forward. When the user goes forward, that is next image, you can add an animation for that. When user comes back to a previous image, you can add a different animation to that. So basically you can program 2 different animations for 2 different actions. Also, we have this concept of slideshow mode, wherein if you have a bunch of images and then you want to kind of keep playing them as a slideshow, yes, you can do that. We provide you the slideshow capability. As you can see here in the picture, it keeps on going. It's kind of showing different images. Also, one of the other key concepts of this control is the data binding. So we support server-side as well as client-side data binding. As you can see here in the server-side binding scenario, there are different options that you can use. You can directly bind to a SQL data source, you can bind to a linked data source, you can bind to an entity data source or an XML data source, or your own custom object which provides a read method. Also on the client side, what you can do is we allow you to bind data from the client side to this control. So that is this is one of the unique features of this particular control. Not only that, as I said, many of our UI for ASP.NET AJAX controls or mobile have default, out of the box support for mobile, and then they're responsive. As you can see here, same image gallery when run in 3 different screen formats, it adapts itself to that particular screen format it is running in, and then it's pretty much is mobile. It provides you the support for mobile browsers or the desktop browsers or the tablet browser, and is also responsive in nature. The biggest of the features is the cross browser support. As you can see, we support pretty much all the major browsers that you can think of. Our control, when placed on your web page, is going to behave the same across all these browsers, and then you don't have to worry about one browser, the control not showing up in one browser whereas it's showing up in the other browser. So basically we give you the seamless UI, same look and feel, same behavior, be it any browser. Next, we're going to look at a demo of the image gallery. A couple of demos I have lined up in order to showcase the complete capability of the image gallery. What you see here is my Visual Studio 2013 with the demo app that I have created. If you look at my Solution Explorer, I have a image gallery folder. So what you see here is a Telerik web form being created, and then we have all the necessary things available in the page: the style manager, the script manager, the AJAX manager. And if you see my folder here, I have an overview folder, and then I have already placed a couple of images, just for the sake of the demo. I have thumbnails of the same image, and I have the full-blown images here. So in a simple form, in order to start working with what you call the Telrik Rad Image Gallery. All you can do is you can just go to Toolbox, click on Rad Image Gallery, and then just double click, and we'll have the Rad Image Gallery placed here. As you can see, it has already got an ID. It has got an ID, Rad Image Gallery 1, run at server. So in its simplest form, what we can do is, I can just come back here, go to items collection, and then if you'll see, we'll have an image gallery item. As you can see, the different properties that are available, and image gallery item is description, height, image URL, thumbnail URL, title, and width. So I'm going to say image URL is equal to I have it in the images folder, so I'll say images/1.png. It's rather JPEG. That's what I have in my folders. And I can also specify a thumbnail URL. So the idea behind thumbnail URL is the image gallery is going to have a image area and then the thumbnail area. So thumbnail area, as the name says, will show all the thumbnails of the the bigger picture. So if you already have thumbnails with you, you can actually just set it, saying in my case I have the thumbnails in thumbnails folder, and then I have the same one.jpg. What I can do is I can say a description. So here I can say this is image 1. I can also provide a title, so I can say image 1. Let me take it to the next line, and that's all it is. So I can just do it. So similarly, I can go and then add maybe one more. So this is a static way of actually providing all the items, you handcrafting the items. So let me make it 2, and I will say 2, and I'm going to simply run this page now. So as you can see here, the page has been loaded, and then what you see here is I haven't set any width and height for the Rad Image Gallery, so that's why it has occupied the available width, and it has set by default a height. And so a couple of things to notice here is the first image. This is the image area, and then I have the image title that I said, which was image 1, and then it also has the description that I said. This is the description was this is image 1, and you can see the toolbar coming up here, item 1 of 2, and then also I have this button which says play slideshow. Then I also have a button which says enter full screen, meaning I can get full screen of this image. And then also I have this hide thumbnails. What you see here, the bottom is the thumbnail. Notice that the second one becomes active when I mouse over. The first one is the current one selected. Now I can click on second one, and you notice that we have said this is image 2. So you see the title and description. Couple of things that we can do is I can set the slideshow. Now you will see it keeps on going with the I can set the loop to true, so that it will, when it reaches the last one, it will pick up from the first one again. So now what is happened is I haven't set the loop to true, so it stops at the last image. And then I can actually get into stop the slideshow. I can get into the full screen. So what happens is it takes the available width and height off the screen, the client screen, the browser. I can exit out of this, and then I can say collapse the thumbnail. If you don't want a thumbnail, you can just say collapse thumbnail, and then you'll get just the image out of this. So in its simplest usage, this is how you can use the Telrik Rad Image Gallery. Next, what we'll do is we'll see another cool way of showing all the images in a particular folder. What you saw me doing now was I went ahead and then placed all the items here like this. So let's stop the running of the project for now, and then what I will do is I'll remove all these items. Then I'm gonna go to Rad Image Gallery. There is a images folder path, so I'm going to just say, hey, you know what, the images can be found at images folder. That's all I have to do. And then I'm going to show another neat trick here. So if you look at this is a smart tag that is available on the Rad Image Gallery. Just click on this smart tag. You will now get a configuration window here. I can say open configure wizard. So there you go. It says general setting, display area mode is image. So we'll come back to each one of them. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that in the thumbnail area settings you can do something like what's the width of the thumbnail area, what is the height of the thumbnail area, and each thumbnail what should be its width. For example, I've set it to 100px, height is 100px, and should there be any spacing between the thumbnails themselves? Should I show a scroll bar? Should the scroll buttons be there? And then also other things like scroll bar trigger, like on click I have to get the the image to be displayed, or we can do like hover or mouse down, so which way you want the actual image to be shown in the image area. So let me say okay, so now this is all it is required to actually get images from a particular folder and then create a RAD image gallery. As you know, I have the images folder here. It has 10 images. I have just set images folder path. Now if I run the app, what you will see is we will have 10 the 10 images being shown as an image gallery. So let me run the project. There you go. So now what happens is all the 10 images from the folder has been shown in the image gallery thumbnail area. As you can see here, I can click on each one of them and then I can look at the images. Of course, in this way you cannot add the title and description because we're just setting a folder path and then it goes ahead and then reads the folder path. Programmatically, if you want to create, you can do add each item from the folder, read the file, and then add the title, description, whatever you want. So that is possible. But when you set images folder path, it just reads images from a folder on the disk and then just brings in all the images and then makes the image gallery out of it. So again, you will get all the other things, like I can go ahead and then say the slideshow. You will see we'll get the slideshow going. It will start showing all the 10 images and then stop at the 10th one because, as I said, I haven't set the should it loop even after the last image has been reached. And all the other things are the same. I can go ahead, I can do a full screen, I can collapse the thumbnail area. So that's about how that's another way of setting images to the image gallery. Just a one property which says images folder path. So the last two things were a simple demo where you can either create a static list of the images or point to a folder and then image gallery will pick up the pictures and then make it an image gallery. So next up what we'll do is we'll try to look at the data binding option, meaning this is fine, but I want to go prepare the items for the RAD image gallery at runtime and then bind it to a the control. So let me stop the project which is running now, and next we'll take a look at the data binding. In this demo, what we're going to do is connect to a database. In the database, we'll hold a table which has columns pertaining to the URL of the image, the title, the description. The images are actually stored on the disk, but we maintain the record of the image in the database. As you can see in my Solution Explorer, I have a particular MDF file or SQL Server database in the app data folder. And then I have a folder called programmatic, and then I have the images stored here. If you see here, I have all the images. So now let me show you the table. I'm going to just double click on the database file. I should get my data explorer coming up in any moment. As you can see here, I have my server explorer coming up. Let me resize it. So what you see here is a table called as city images. So the city images contains columns such as image URL, description, and title. So if I just right click and say show table data, so what you're seeing here is I have this image URL which basically contains a string which is nothing but pointing to the absolute URL of the image on the disk itself. So what we're going to do is use a data source control to connect to this database and then execute select image URL description title from cd images table, and then use that data source to bind it to the Rad Image Gallery. So first thing I'm going to do is to create the SQL data source. So I will say ASP SQL data source ID is equal to SQL data source 1. Of course, we need to have the run at server. Then for the connection string, I already have my web.config set up for the right connection string. So I'm going to just say use the connection string from my configuration. So I'm going to say connection strings colon, I've named it as Telerik connection string. So as you can see, I provided the connection string, then I have to say provider name. So I'm going to use SQL data.SQL client. Now I'll just give a select command. So in the select command, all I'm going to say is select. Remember, we have the column which says image URL. Then we have column which is description. Then we have the column title. And this comes from a table called cd images. So that's all I'm going to do with my SQL data source. Next, what I'm going to do is go ahead and then include a Rad Image Gallery. So Telerik Rad Image Gallery, and runner is equal to server. I will say ID is equal to gallery 1. So now first thing that we would do is to tell the Rad Image Gallery that hey, the data source for you is, or the data source ID is SQL data source 1. Then we need to let the image gallery know which field it should bound, or which it should bind to get the images. So I have a field called as image URL. So that's the data image field. And then I can also say, for the description, what is the field it should bind to. So we have a column called as description. And then I can also say, what is the field it should bind to get the title. So we have a title. And one more thing that I will do is to set the width and the height. So let's say height is a 400. So let's go over it again. All I did was I created a SQL data source, gave it an ID, connection string is coming from the web.config, the provider is the SQL client, and then I just write a select command which is select image URL description title from cd images. And then I define our Rad Image Gallery and set the data source ID property, data image field property, data description field, and then data title field. Now let's run and then see the output. As you can see, we have the Rad Image Gallery coming up with the right set of images. I had close to around 15 or so images in the database. So what we have done is the whole Rad Image Gallery is now bound to a SQL data source, and it is able to bind the image URL description and then the title. As you can see, when I do a mouse over, it shows the right title, description, and then the image is coming up. Let's go ahead and then maybe increase the width and the height a little bit. So I'm going to say this is 1000 and then maybe this is 700, so that we kind of see a little bit bigger There you go. So this looks better. So I can do all the other stuff. So as you can see, it's not just that you have to always use the static list. You can use the I just showcased the simplest one, which is using the SQL data source, but you can go ahead and then use entity framework data source or any of the data sources that are available, even a custom object, and then create an object data source and then bind it to the RAD image gallery. Of course, the image gallery will support everything. I can do the slideshow. I can do maximize. As you can see, it covers the whole screen, and I can kind of collapse the thumbnail and then kind of let the complete image be seen. So this was an example of using the SQL data source. Next, what we'll do is we're gonna have one more image gallery in the same page, but instead of using a SQL data source in the ASPX file, I will completely do it in the code behind. And the RAD image gallery has an event which is known as on need data source, meaning every time it has to bind data, it will fire an event saying like, hey, I need data source to bind to the control. So we can make use of that event and then write a code to execute SQL query, go to the SQL database, get the data, maybe a data view, prepare a data view, and then bind the data view as the image source for the RAD image gallery. Let me stop the project which is running now. I'll stop debugging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a couple of line breaks here, and I'm going to just set it back to maybe like 400 by 400 so that we see this as a small. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say ASP colon the telric colon RAD image gallery runat is equal to server ID is equal to gallery 2. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this event known as on need data source, and then I will say okay, create a new data source. As you can see, it has created gallery 2 underscore need data source. This is the code behind. You can see like it says gallery 2 underscore need data source. And then I'm going to be connecting to the same database with the same column. So what I will do is I'll just copy this particular three attributes, that is data image URL field. The data image field is image URL, data description field is description, data title field is title. So we are done with the control, putting the control in the page. Now to take care of the code behind. So as you can see here, whenever the gallery 2 starts to render, it needs a database. It would fire the data. It would fire a event on need data source. So I'm just handling that event through this event handler. Here what I'm going to do is I will say gallery 2 dot data source is equal to get data. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create a function which returns a data view, and let's call it get data. So here first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste a couple of codes just to cut down on the time. So I'll explain one by one. So as you can see, I've created the same query. So select image URL description title from city images, connection string. I'm getting it from the configuration file. So create a connection, create an adapter. Adapter select command is nothing but the select query. I create a data table, open the connection, and then I execute the adapter by calling the fill. So the data table gets filled up. Then I create a simple data view by saying like, hey, create a data view out of this data table. I do a sort based on the image URL descending, and then I'm just returning this data view. And data view is bound to the data source of the gallery 2. So now if I run this page, there you go. So the first one is the SQL data source binding, whereas if you see the bottom one, so this is the what the newly added the gallery 2, RAD image gallery 2. So it does the same thing. We have executed this command, got the data, bound the data to the the gallery 2, and then it's having a data binding to image URL field, description field, and then the title field, and then I'm able to see everything again the same way. So if you see here, it does the same thing. So here also we get the same effect. So what we have seen so far is two ways of binding. So I've shown you SQL data source, so you can do the same thing with any of the data sources, data source controls available for on the ASPX page, or you can. I've shown you now the code way. That is, you can always execute code, get the data, and then give it, and then you can do it. So this was his brief introduction to how to work with RAD Image Gallery with data binding. In the next demo, we're going to look at the different display modes that the RAD Image Gallery allows you to present your image. So first, let me close this file. So I have a folder called as modes, and then I have some images here. As you can see, I have close to 30 images, and then here's the page. Let me increase the font size. So it's a typical Telerik web form here. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say ASP Telerik colon RAD Image Gallery run art is equal to server. Then I'm just going to use the images folder path concept here, and then I will say images, and let's say we're going to set the width is equal to 1000, height is equal to, let's say, 600. So now let me open up the smart tag for the RAD Image Gallery. I'll go in the open configuration wizard. So we get the configuration wizard here, and if you look at the general settings of the RAD Image Gallery, what we see is there is a property called as display area mode, and then this is like these are the different display area modes that we get. Basically, how should the image be displayed? So we have the concept of just show the image, now show the thumbnails, now show it as a lightbox, or show it as a tooltip. So we're going to see one by one. So let me keep it to image, and then I'll say OK. And the default is the image. Just to be very explicit, I'm going to set it to image. So now if I run this page, so as you can see, the default way of displaying the images is there is an image area on the top and the thumbnails in the bottom, and then we just show the currently selected thumbnail image as the current image here. So this is the image area, this is the thumbnail area. So now what I can do is let me dock it to the right, and I'll dock this guy to the left, and I'm going to start making different thing. So I'm going to say show this as a light box. So let me refresh this. So what has happened is, let me maximize this. So by default, the thumbnail area settings have been set to show complete use the complete width of the control, and then they will automatically provide you the scroll next kind of a button. So the concept here with the lightbox is simple. What we can do is, if you click on any thumbnail, it will automatically open up our Telerik Lightbox. Lightbox is another ASP.NET AJAX control, and then plus it also gives you the navigation here. If you see here, I'm able to go through the next, and then I can do the full screen here. If you see here, I have the full screen. I can do this, and then I can just come back to this particular thing. So this is the lightbox mode, wherein there's no thumbnail being shown, or rather the image display area becomes a thumbnail. So all the images are all shown in thumbnails. You can actually set what is the width of the thumbnail so that they can stack with one another. What I will do is I will set the width of the RAD Image Gallery to maybe 600, and then height also to 600, and also use the thumbnail area settings, and then give the width of the thumbnail to 600 and the height of the thumbnails area setting to 600. Now let me go back and then refresh. Now if you see, it's basically like, it's as if you're showing like an Instagram kind of a image display. And then if I click on any one of the images, you see, like, very neatly a light box comes up. This is a concept called as a light box, where it comes up, and then you can we give you the facility to kind of use the next previous button here, or you can do the full screen, and then also you can do the next previous images. Press escape, it goes back. I can click back again here, or close on this. So this is the thumbnail display lightbox display mode. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to say thumbnails, and let's see what happens here. So now the interesting thing is, whenever the display, the image is displayed pretty similar to how it was displayed for Lightbox. But when I click on a particular image, you will not see the Lightbox. Rather, you will see the full image coming up. And then, if you notice here, what has happened. So what is happening is, I have the full image coming up. I have the cross mark here to close the current image. I can do the next previous. I can do the slideshow, full screen, all those things. If I close it, I'm going to get the thumbnail. So with this, what happens is the thumbnails is the display image display area becomes a thumbnails. If you click on a thumbnail, it opens up the current image that was clicked in its own window. So that's the display mode of thumbnails. And next, what I can do is I can go and say tooltip and refresh this. So take a look at the way the image is being opened up now. So the display image display area is still shown as thumbnails, but when I click on a particular image, now it shows as if it's a tooltip. You can see that the current selected image of the thumbnail that is selected has kind of a tooltip coming up there, and then the image is shown in the tooltip. So this is the mode in which you will showcase the the image, different images. So there are 4 different modes in which you can showcase the image itself. Now we also provide you see here that I have a thumbnails area setting. So as part of the thumbnails area setting, we also have some image setting modes. So I'm going to bring back display area mode to image, and I'll set the width back to 1000, height back to maybe 700, and then thumbnail area setting, I'm just going to remove this. And what I will do is I will say mode is equal to, if you see here, there are 3 modes in which we can get the thumbnails. One is image slider. This is the by default. So now if I go and then refresh the page, we will get a thumbnails. And so image slider is something like this. If you see here, the thumbnail has become like a slider. If I just do a mouse, I can click on it. It's like a slider. So it doesn't show the thumbnail preview. Another mode that we have is image slider preview. So now what happens is, if I do a mouse over on any of these thumbnail, the circle that you see here, you will see now that I'm able to see the preview of that particular thumbnail. So there is a thumbnail, but when you do a mouse over, you get a preview. If you want to click, you can click it, and then the image comes out. So this is the second type in which you can showcase the thumbnails. The third one is, of course, the default, which is the thumbnails. I think I said image slider as the default. It looks like it's not. It's the thumbnails mode, which is the default for the thumbnail area settings. So now if I go back, you get the familiar, thumbnails coming in the bottom. There you go. So this looks better than anything. So you can see, like, I can just scroll through and then do this, and then pretty much. So that's what. So there are close to 4 modes in which you can show the image display, and there are 3 modes in which you can actually show the thumbnails itself. So that's pretty much a brief demo of the modes in which you can show the images. Next, what we're going to see is a demo on animation. So let me stop debugging now and I will close this page. I have a folder called animations. So here what we're going to do is we're going to look at the animation demo with this page. As with the previous demos, I have a folder called images. I have kept around 15 images here, and then in the interest of the time I already gone ahead and then created the necessary code. So similar, we have a RAD Image Gallery. It has the ID runner server. Then images folder path is set to images. I put a skin called glow. I have also said loop items is equal to true if ever I do a slideshow on that. The toolbar settings, okay, the position is bottom. Then here is how you set animations. So we have something called as client settings, and client settings takes an animation settings collection, and we have this next images animation, and you just have to set the type is equal to vertical resize, horizontal resize. So that's all it takes. So basically what it means is the next images animation is performed whenever user is going ahead, that is, he is going to the next image. The previous image animation is applied when the user goes back, he clicks on a previous image. So this particular the animation will be applied. So this is vertical resize for the next images, and then horizontal resize for the previous images. So let's run this and see how this particular animation looks like, and then I'll show you different animations that we support. So basically this the RAD image gallery is pretty much similar. There's no change. There's a image display area, there's a thumbnail, but where this particular animation comes into picture is I'm going to click on second image now, or I'll use this to illustrate. There's a next image button here. So if you see here, I had a vertical resize animation going on. So let me click once again. There you go, there was an animation being played. So I'll go back. So now you saw a different animation coming up. So whenever you go forward, you get a different animation. Whenever you go backwards, you get a different animation. So let's go back and then look at the code again. So if you felt like this, I don't want to type it, so what you can do is go to the RAD image gallery tag, use the smart tag, open the configuration wizard, go to client setting, animation settings. There is a next image animation type. So if you look at this type, we provide a lot of animation styles. So random blocks, big blocks, small blocks, blah blah blah. So there's a lot of animation types available. You can also control the speed. That is, now currently this is running at 1200 milliseconds. So that's 1.2 seconds for the animation to be performed. And also we have the easing property, so you can actually decide how the animation should end. Easing is nothing but how smoothly it should end the animation. So I'm going to set random for my next animation, and then also set random for previous animation, and then I'll say okay. So save this file, come back, and then refresh the page. Then we'll do a next image. There you go. So it did a different animation. Now I'm again clicking on a next. It did a different animation now. So I'm clicking next image. It did another animation. So there you go. So this way we give you a lot of option for the animation, and you can pretty much decide what you want or leave it random. So let me go back now. I'll see, for the back also I have a different animations coming up. So that concludes the demos on RAD Image Gallery. Next up, we're going to be looking at another interesting control that we have, Rad Media Player. So let me start with next section. Next, the control that we're going to take a look at is Rad Media Player. You can add the media capability to your ASP.NET AJAX application with very ease. As the name says, this is a control which helps you, it kind of puts up the media player on your web page. You can actually have a YouTube source, or you can actually embed a MP3, all the major formats that the modern browsers support. You can embed it in your application and then just point the media player to that particular resource, and then media player will be able to play that particular video. As I said, we as part of the Rad Media Player, we provide the YouTube video support also, meaning you don't have to worry about what the code you have to add, like which JavaScript player, or is it an iframe. Just copy the YouTube source URL of the particular video that you want to play, provide it to the Rad Media Player, and it will have its own controls. Everything comes up for you. It's just only one line of code to write. It has a rich built-in toolbar and title bar. As you can see, you can put a title for the videos. It has a share button, the social share button. It has the timelines, the play button, the pause button, the timeline, which shows how much is seen and then how much time is left out. It has the volume icon, the HD icon if the video supports HD, and also the maximize button. You can go full screen with the Rad Media Player. When you put a Rad Media Player onto the page and then user clicks on the maximize button, the Rad Media Player will fill up the available space or available screen estate within the client browser. As I said, timeline, we give you the timeline. You can see how much is pending, how much is been viewed already, and then it shows the total time versus the current time, everything. Plus it is adaptive. As I said in the Rad Image Gallery demos, on the section of when we looked at the section of Rad Image Gallery, we talked about mobile support and adaptive behavior. Here too, the Rad Media Player is built keeping in mind the mobile devices or mobile browsers. So we out of the box provide you the mobile support. The Rad Media Player understands the touch events when it is running in a tablet browser or a mobile browser, whereas on a desktop browser it's all a click, so it understands all those things. Plus it has its own adaptive behavior, so you don't have to worry about anything. As you can see in the picture, when a page built with Rad Media Player is viewed on a mobile device, you can see that we have the player coming on top, the playlist coming in the bottom, whereas in the tablet the playlist comes on the right hand side. So all these things are all inbuilt out of the box when you use our controls. Next, let's see a demo of Rad Media Player in action. Let me switch over to Visual Studio. Here I have another Telerik web form. As you can see, I have a folder called Media Player. And inside that I have a folder called Overview, and then this is where I have placed my Media Player overview.aspx. So as with the previous control, here also we can just say Rad Media Player and run at server ID is equal to Media Player. So now in its simplest form, what I can do is I can let me first give a width like 640px, height is equal to 360px. So in its simplest form, what I can do is I can just use the source property and then place give it a source, any source. For example, I can have a video file within my application and then provide the URL to that particular source, or I can go to YouTube and then get a video URL and then just give that as a source. For example, I already have a YouTube URL of one of our previous webinars. So what I can do is now I can just run it and then see how this media player comes up. As you can see here, what it has done is it has gone ahead and then actually it's showing the YouTube video. If you can see here, I had provided the source for YouTube, so it is actually coming from the YouTube. Now I talked about giving a title, so we can always go back here and then provide a title for the video. What I will do is I'll add a title property on the Rad Media Player itself, and then I'll just provide like test studio getting started. Now let me save this and then refresh the page. Now we'll see like on the top we see the test studio getting started. So in its simplest form, the Rad Media Player is just as easy as just get the URL, put the source, and then set the width and height, and then you're done. So it can be any source, and it will automatically pick it up. You can provide your WebM or OGV or the MP3 formats, and then the browsers pick whichever source their favorite is, so you can provide more sources to your Rad Media Player. We'll take a look at that in the next demo. For this demo, what I'm going to use is showcase the different media types that can be used with the Rad Media Player. If you look at my Solution Explorer, I have a Media Player folder and then a Media Types folder, and in the Media Types folder I have audio being stored, I have the audio 1.mp3, 2.mp3, 3.mp3, 4.mp3 along with other sources, and I have this file which says Media Player Audio. So if you look at the previous, if you were paying attention to the previous demo, basically we had used a YouTube source, YouTube URL as the source of the Rad Media Player. But in this scenario, in this demo, what we're going to do is we will make use of the playlist collection that we can provide our audio files to. So basically I'm trying to create a playlist with all these 4 audio being there, and then user can click on any one, and then the media player starts playing the audio. So basically the way we build up the playlist is you just create the playlist collection, and then inside that playlist supports the media player audio file collection. So you just create a object of type media player audio file. It supports a title, and then you can actually provide a poster so that I can bring in some image before this title text. Coming back to the sources, you can provide any number of sources here. Basically I have provided MP3, but I can go ahead and then put the OGG file also. So if the browsers is looking for OGG, it will find the OGG file, and then it will pick it up and then play it. So this is more for the browsers to pick up whichever format they are used to, or basically they support. So I put MP3 and then OGG both. So if there's a browser which supports only OGG, so it will still be able to play that particular thing. So the media player audio file has a title and poster property. Then it has a collection of sources. So I'm giving a media player source. It just supports a path audio, and then that's it. So I've gone ahead and then created the 4 audio things. So what we can do now is to restart, and then restart the project, start the debugging, and then let the page go to that particular demo. So as you can see here, I have created a playlist, and you can notice that it automatically puts up a nice little kind of a image to know that this is to let the users know that this is a audio file. And then we give a image poster, so that's what you see here as YouTube, and then audio 1 is the title that I provided. So I can now, this has created a playlist of 4 audio files. User can click on it and then it's playing. I'm not sure if you can listen to it, but this is playing. So this is how you create a audio playlist. So now next demo, let's see how we can create a video playlist. So for this, what I will do is I'll open up my another file, which is media player video.aspx, and then if you look at my video folder, I have a couple of folders here: MP4, OGV, WebM, all those formats that I kept it. But for now, just for the demo sake, I'm going to just showcase the the sources that I'm going to use is just the MP4. It's the same, the way we created the audio playlist. You use the playlist, you create a media player video file. In the sources, you create all the sources that you have. For example, here I'm using media player source path MP4. Here is another player source with OGV format, and then a WebM format. Similarly, I've created 2 more video files. I've given a title, I've given a poster. Here's a title, here's a poster. So now let's run this file and then see the output. When the page loads, what we'll see is like, this is a full-fledged player with, if I click on this button, it will be able to show me the playlist, and you can see that, I have not provided, if I click on this, it changes to that, 3 different videos, and then this was the, the playlist that happened. So this was a static playlist, meaning, you have playlist embedded within your application. What if you want to create a playlist from YouTube? So I have my own blog, and let me show that. Just give me a second. So I have a show of mine called as Uncut and Unedited. So what I have done is, so this is available at youtube.com. So if we go to this particular site, so this is my YouTube channel, and I have this playlist called as Uncut and Unedited. So what I need to do is just take the playlist ID, and then as you can see, I have 7 videos added as part of this playlist. So I'm just copying the playlist ID. Then what we can do is we can come back to let's pick up the overview file, and we will just take out this Rad Media Player, and what we will do is I'll just copy and paste a couple of code so that you don't have to kind of keep looking at what I'm typing. In the interest of the time, I already prepared this. So if I format this, if you see here, it's the same Rad Media Player, run at server, autoplay true, width is equal to so and so, height is equal to whatever dimension, and then we don't have to add playlist collection. Rather, we can just say playlist settings. The button trigger is a mouse down, and whenever I do a mouse down, show me the playlist. The mode is button, so I want everybody like a button. Then the position, that is, the playlist has to be vertical. And then here is the playlist ID that I got from my YouTube channel, and then I just have to paste that here as YouTube playlist, and then do and run the app now. So what we should see is it should pretty much let me DAC it side by side so that you can actually see that. So if I start one of the videos here, so on the right hand side is what you see, Telerik Rad Media Player. Just take a moment to actually see how easy it was to create, pretty much similar to what YouTube has. Like, on the left hand side you see the YouTube, on the right hand side is Telerik Rad Media Player UI for ASP NET AJAX Control, right? On the left hand side is the YouTube. So with just 5 lines of code, not even coding, it's just settings, doing a setting, I'm able to create a YouTube kind of a playlist playlist, and then a player, and then pretty much I can do everything. I can click on this, it goes to the second video, then come back here, scroll through, and here's my boss Abhishek Kant, whom I had interviewed a long time back when he was in the Microsoft. So pretty much here also, if you see here, I have the same 7 things coming up, all those things. What I can do is the playlist that you see here, I can go back to the code and then say the playlist position needs to be horizontal, and then take a look at what happens now. So let me maximize. So now I'm going to say, there you go. So this is a completely different way of looking at the video. So now I have the horizontal, I have the thumbnails of the videos coming in horizontal mode. So this pretty much wraps up whatever I wanted to show as part of the today's webinar. We looked at 2 different things. One is RAD Image Gallery, and we also looked at the Rad Media Player. One of the goals that we talked about is in the starting for the UI for ASP NET AJAX Control suite itself was to improve your productivity. So I hope with the demos that I've shown you, with just settings, by setting up a couple of properties on the controls, you're able to get the control working, within no time. So that's pretty much what our suite is all about: improve productivity, give you richer, slicker, and then better performing apps. I encourage you to go download the bits, and then if you want to play around with it, so go ahead. So we have demos available at let me give you the online demo that we have. So if you go to demos.telerik.com and then ASP NET AJAX, you will be able to see pretty much whatever I did as an online demo here. So we have all the controls being shown with the demos here. So you can click on any control and then it will have a bunch of demo scenarios for each control. So thank you very much for spending the last 1 hour or so with us. We hope this 1 hour is kind of informative to you, and then it will help you in your career growth, or in your day-to-day work. So that's my official email ID, lohit.nagraj@telerik.com. If you're on Twitter, I'm also on Twitter. It's @Kashyapa. So thank you very much, and we look forward to you in our future webinars also. Have a good day. Have a good evening if you're in India. If you're anywhere else, have a good day to you.